With him, and he said that it looked suspicious, and he kind of wondered about putting it in a box, but he went ahead and did it anyway, and asked me if in the future, if he sees something that looks like that again, if he should just keep it at the post office. And I said, please do. And he said he'll do that and then put just a note in our box that they got a suspicious piece of mail.
There have been other hate crimes committed against you and your family that have not resulted in an arrest. Do you think that the police department is trying hard enough to get to the bottom of who's terrorizing you?
I'm not sure, and when it comes to the formality of deciding what a hate crime is, I've really tried to let the police make that decision. So in the case of the mail, I called Crime Check, not 911, and described what happened, and they said, this is a hate crime, we're dispatching an officer to you to pick up the evidence. In the situation, one of the situations in North Idaho where my two sons were out in the garden and saw a noose hanging from the rafters, or what looked like a noose of rope that hadn't been there prior, the officers came and they actually listed that as a hate crime toward me and my sons at that particular point. And so, I really don't want to speculate on what, which particular incidents have been hate crimes and by who, because certainly there's been no conclusion in any of these incidents that have resulted in a suspect. And that is highly frustrating. It's been a stretch of years, and certainly no small amount of stress for my kids as well as myself. So I would love to live in a world where hate crimes didn't exist, and I could assure my children that we're safe and nothing will happen in the future.
I guess with regard to the noose on the rafters, that turned out not to be a noose later on.
I don't know that that's been concluded.
It's actually a rope that was used to hang up a fellow's deer whenever he killed deer.
Well, I read that in your article, but that was never told to me at the time. And in fact, when we moved into that particular house, that rope was not there. My sons discovered it that morning when they were picking strawberries in the little raised beds. So, people will go to all kind of lengths to minimize or discount or undermine stories. I certainly don't believe that there's conclusive evidence that was not put there, to intimidate or harass, and that certainly wasn't the first appearance of a noose at a residence that we lived at. So
that was one of 8 times that you had problems. You were victims of a hate crime in North Idaho.
Again, whether I don't know that it's 8 hate crimes decided by the police, but there were 8 incidents where we were harassed. Yes.
I'm sorry to hear that. You were the first to notice, hey, there's no canceled